I want to be a pilot. I really want to fulfill my dream of becoming a pilot. I don't want to be 70 years old and regret I didn't even give it a try to achieve my goal. I'm ready to work hard and dedicate myself to succeed. Okay, where do I start? Need a flight school, okay? Let's make few phone calls and check few websites. Okay, now the school telling me there's 2 routes I can take. Which route do I prefer? Modular or integrated?
November 44 Quebec, we better to make a slight left turn out for traffic 40 behind you. 30 Mike, 3 Thank you, sir. Contact us radar 193.
I can't tell you what to choose without knowing your circumstances, obviously. But surely I can tell you what I would choose if I'm a student and why. Before I tell you my final verdict, sorry about the overacting intro. Also, I want to tell you that this episode, I'm sharing my own opinion from my experience in this industry, which expands over 10 years now, guiding over 1,000 students. But I do not own a flight school, and Compare Flight Training, what I own, is a completely free platform for students to get help and get guided by other pilots from day one to reach the airline or other successful pilot career. So basically what I'm trying to say is there is no reason for me to support either modular training or integrated training schools. But that doesn't mean what I'm saying is the right decision for your life, because everyone have their own life scenario. And if you want me to advise you after listening to your life, budget and preferences, then you are more than welcome to contact me. I receive many questions related to modular and integrated training. Which route will give me a guaranteed success, or which one will save me more money, or which route airline prefers their pilots have gone through. So many questions like that. So before I answer all those questions, first let me explain what modular and integrated training actually means. Modular training simply means flexible training. You choose different schools for each licenses and rating if you want. You don't have to, you can do all in one school as well if you want. Then you fly whenever you want, you pay for each flight. It gives you full freedom in your hands and you control your training. For example, one of my friends started private pilot, PPO, and ATPL ground classes in UK. Then he went to USA to complete his R building. Then went to Spain for his commercial and multi-engine rating. Then went to Portugal for instrument rating. Amazing, eh? He did it within 2 years and he got a job in a low-cost airline in Europe. Happily lives ever after. Perfect. So the advantage I take out from this successful modular route pilot is he had full control over his life, which means he kept full-time job throughout the whole time, which helped him to pay for most of his training. He was the manager of a retail store making over 35,000 per annum. So at the same time he was able to support his family with that money as well. He spent less for the overall cost of the training because he done full research on cheaper but quality training for each licenses and traveled to get those licenses. This is one success story, and I came across a few more similar stories with modular training. I'm sure by now your head's telling you that is wonderful. This is exactly what I wanted to hear, and this is exactly what I wanted to do. Work and pay for the flight. From that I complete the training. Hold your gun, cowboys. I didn't talk through negative side of the other stories. Many students have failed through modular training. As much as freedom and control over your own destiny sounds perfect, it's not for everyone when it comes to modular flight training. Sometimes it's not even students' fault. It's a life that we are living, unpredictable. One day everything seems fine, the next minute you'll be like, what the hell just happened? You have no idea how many students I had who have been doing modular training then come to integrated. I had students who flew 50 hours without even getting their solo time. It's difficult because there's no structure, no consistency. Think about it. You fly whenever you want, so you start to schedule once a week, and suddenly you have financial issues 6 months down the line. Now you start to fly once a month. Then you lose the job, then you don't fly for 3 months now. And if you work for minimum wage or low pay salary, paying from that salary for flight training will crash down on you when one financial issue occurs down the line. Because spending more than half of your earning to fly just once a week will be a difficult task. Flying just like driving, if you don't do it consistently, it will be difficult to get that grip. Now the cheap, flexible way of training becomes very expensive hobby and eventually given up after 3 years, for example, when flying 100 hours of PPO. I know many students like that, and they've flown 20 hours, 30 hours, some with PPO and some with the middle of the hour building, and after many years down the line, now they stopped. Okay, now let's look at integrated. Integrated training basically means you carry out all of your training on a full-time course at an approved flight school. It takes you from having a 0 hours of flight time to holding a frozen ATPO around 14 to 18 months in Europe. And you can finish about 8 to 10 months in USA and Canada and around 14 to 16 months time in Australia. It varies from country to country and school to school, depending on how they structured their course. Advantages are, big airlines prefer students that integrated training course from approved flight school, and you will be placed in selection pool from the schools once you complete your training. For example, British Airways only hire pilots who went through integrated course, and many other big airlines are similar. For airline, it's attractive that you can cope with intense training, and also it's easier to get all your performance record as the training were taken in one flight school. Yes, there will be few pilots might be exception and might get hired from modular side, but if you come across this pilot, his or her record will be flawless and extremely talented pilot in every single way. Integrated flight training must get approved by regulators, so training quality usually high standard, and also flying consistently will play a big part in the quality of your flying skill. Some big schools actually try their best to get you airline job because they care about their students, and also they advertise and boost about how many of their students flying for big airline. It's great for marketing and attract more students, right? But who cares as long as we get our dream job? Integrated training have negative sides also. It's less flexible and less freedom. Training is fully structured, so you won't be able to do full-time job in the side. Maybe possible to fit in a part-time job, but I usually tell my students just don't do any part-time job either. Just please concentrate on your training just for this 1 year without getting distracted from the other jobs. The training is intense, so it requires complete commitment from start to finish. Next one is price, and this could be a bit more expensive than modular, but that depends on if you are properly doing the modular training within the time scale and choose the right school to do your right training. Integrated training schools are a bit strict on payment, but there are many schools still not asking students to make a huge deposit before each license. Okay, now let's get to the point. Recently I noticed many aviation websites, not flight school website, I mean famous aviation websites such as pilotcareernews.com, who helps pilots seems like supporting a lot in modular courses. Most of them look like sponsored article. I hate sponsored article. It's an advert in an article format. Last month they posted a pilot's live, link on the description by the way, how he did modular training and got himself an airline job. At least it proves one guy got a job from modular training. Maybe that's the only guy. Just kidding. Jokes apart, I am not against modular training. But why schools are suddenly promoting and saying modular training is the best and it's the best way to do the training, after the number of students who are starting to train dropped drastically this year? Let me get to my final verdict. Even though modular training sounds great on paper and you can save money, by clear margin, integrated training wins this fight for me. I advise you to gather all the money you have and try your level best to get the full training done in one good school. Not just get the license done, but make sure work very hard and spend almost entire time just in this training, and study as much as you can without getting any distraction at all. Remember, you can always transfer from modular to integrated course. Any school will take your hours into consideration before you give you a full price. But if you have less than 10 hours in a bad school, yes, your hours will be on your logbook, but most probably you will start all over again in PPL training. But if you have a good 30, 40, 50 hours, school will reduce a substantial amount from your course fee. And vice versa, you can always transfer from integrated to modular too. Only issue that some school will ask you to pay some money up front in integrated course, and if you decided to leave halfway through the training, then good luck getting that money back. That's why I tell my students to find a good school, even if it's integrated training school, pay less in advance and do not have too much money in the school account, and a big no for pay all up front. But if you can guarantee your financial stabilization for next few years, and you are a warrior in working hard and unbreakable mental toughness and dedicated as Spartans, then sure you will succeed in whichever route you choose. What I mean is, if you have a dream, you have to protect it. Do whatever it takes to achieve it. Always remember you have one life. So I don't want you to sit on that chair in care home when you're 70 years old and wishing that you would have taken the modular route at least, and you would have tried and achieve your dream. Instead, you watch this video of Prakash's and he made me change my mind. Now I have nothing. As I said earlier, I don't know your life situation, so act according to that, but never ever give up on your dream, because that passion and vision makes you special and unique. I'm always here for you to have a chat. Good day, future captain.